And I gave some suggestions on books to read and on how we build ourselves to be strong in our faith and to be strong in our iman. So the question I have, of course, those who were not here last time, they are pardoned in advance. But for those who were here, I want to hear from you. Who amongst you managed to get hold of some of the books we suggested? One book, two books. What is the book? What are the books? Is important. So yeah, if any one of you, from gents, from ladies, if you want to speak, feel free to speak.
What we did was we sat together after your discussion, and we thought that if you make a book discussion group and or WhatsApp group, so we have started working on that. We have made a Iqra book club, and we have started with When I Was Guided, and this week we have started practically, and then we have noted down all the 5 books that you suggested, and we intend to do them gradually.
So very good. I think you summarize. Of course, that's with the ladies, isn't it?
Gents as well.
Oh, fantastic.
The Behlul did that, ladies and gents.
I think it's an excellent move. Definitely, you see, as a community, we cannot afford to follow blindly. Blind following is totally against our school of thoughts. Whatever the issue may be, whether small or big, Quran, the Holy Prophet, and Ahlul Bayt warned us not to just follow for the sake of following. We need to try as much as we can to understand what we do. Because if you understand it, then you enjoy it. And I think this is a laudable idea that you have book club. We started that also in Birmingham. Book club. It's not going very well, but it has a lot of benefits. Where a copy of a book will be given to people or will be introduced, and people will go back and they will look for the book, they will read, and they will come back. You will sit in circles, and then you will discuss those books and come up with whatever you've learned out of the books. So I think this is very important, and I really want to encourage you and encourage myself, brothers and sisters. If you truly want to enjoy this religion, then you should make reading a priority. In fact, you have to make it a top priority in your life. Otherwise, you'll find it boring. And each and every step, you'll find it boring. And one of the reasons as to why sometimes people find religion boring is because people do not understand what they are doing. If you understand what you do, why are you bored? So therefore, I encourage you, young and old, let's make reading a top priority in our lives. Now, tonight's topic is very important topic. And I want all of you to get involved in this topic. I'm going to talk about it very little, and then we'll split into groups. And when we split into groups, like the way we had the other weekend, let's all try to participate and be involved. What are we discussing tonight? Western ideology and Islam. Can they go hand in hand or not? I mean, this is a very important topic. And it's not a topic of one sitting. This is a topic that requires series of discussions, series of engaging with one another. Now, to make it more interesting, I want to ask you a question. What do you understand by Western ideology? And I need a lot of hands here because we often receive questions, especially from the youth. Why Islam is like this? When we have it this way. So I need an answer. What do you understand by Western ideology? Who is first to answer? If it is from gents, you can start. If it's from the ladies, yeah. Yes.
Hello. Hi. My understanding is that it's more like advancement. So as time moves on, it moves on as well with time.
Okay, so your understanding of Western ideology is about advancement. It moves with time. Okay. Any other response? What do we understand by Western ideology? There is no mic for the gents here. Okay, there's mic. So whoever wants to respond will get the mic. So that's good answer, but we'll discuss it into details. So it's about advancement. It goes hand in hand with time. It attends to the requirements. Okay, there is a hand there. Western ideology.
Assalamu
Walaikum
alaikum. When there's discussions on Western ideology,
Yeah.
it normally means to some people that the freedom to do whatever you want without any rules or boundaries.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say religious freedom to do whatever you want or not believe in, and practice or live your life without any kind of barriers or rules or regulations. That's kind of what I understand.
Yeah. So what you, if I get you right, what you're saying is Western ideology is about freedom. Okay. Don't you have freedom in Islam? We'll discuss it. That's number two. So advancement, freedom. Yeah. So I've got many hands here.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I think it would mean something about the lines of what the West's idea is about how things should be, how one should live their life, what should be allowed, what shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
So their idea on how things should go about.
So, yeah, that's true. That's the definition. So the way they think of life. So can you give examples of what they think should be? Examples. I need examples. Yeah. Who is responding there? Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Just at the top of my head, I would say, for example, how in Islam it is best for us to be segregated in the mosque, so ladies separate and gents separate. But in Western ideology, that's a form of oppression and segregation, but it's not a form of oppression in Islam.
Yeah.
And Western ideology tends to insist that their thinking is right and any other thinking is wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you mentioned freedom. So this will go under freedom. That look, I'm free. Let him be the way I want to be. Don't put some boundaries around me. So that is also ideology that we have in the West. Any other? Guys, we're all living in the West. You can't tell me you don't know what is Western ideology. Think, because we're going to have discussions on this. So we need to know what are Western. But all so far, so good. Someone wants to? Okay. There is a need for mic that side. The ladies are taking all the reward, man, guys. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Okay, so I think Western ideology means like Western society, culture, and yeah, basically the way they do stuff and their beliefs. So it's like how us as Muslims we take wearing hijab as an option, whereas Western people think that we are forced to wear it by religion.
Yeah. So definitely, like the way she mentioned, in Islam we have this, if you want to call it, segregation between male and female. But from the Western perspective, they don't see anything wrong with that. In fact, as she mentioned, they think women are oppressed. Whereas from the Islamic perspective, that's what we are discussing today. And inshallah, by the end of these discussions, we should go out understanding where do we draw the line and how do we go about doing things.
It's also in the Quran that we have to wear it. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you're wearing it because Quran says, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, mashallah. Don't you think it's oppression?
Sorry?
Don't you think it's oppression?
No.
Why?
Well, first of all,
It's hot. Don't
it's
think
not-
it's hot out there.
Yeah, but like even if it's hot, there's always a way of wearing hijab. Like you can just stay inside and like, for example, yeah,
Inside where?
like your house.
Yeah, but you have to go out. You have to go to shopping malls. You have to buy things.
Yeah, then you can wear a scarf. Like
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it later.
Well,
Any
like
other
2 layers.
response? What do you understand by Western ideology? So far, the answers are good. Okay. Let the ladies and them, because they always say ladies first, so we allow. Then I will come. Yeah, salam.
I just wanted to make a point about Western ideology and this whole sort of notion of this us and them. And I truly believe, especially for this next generation, including myself, that are born in this country, we are Western, we are British, yet we don't want to dilute our values of spirituality as being a Muslim and our identity as being a Muslim. And I don't know how healthy it is for us to isolate ourselves and say, well, in Islam, this is what we say, and Western says this. Whereas it's this country that has given us the liberty to, uphold these Hussayniyas and these mosques and practice our religion freely. And there are other countries like Saudi Arabia where women don't even have those kind of rights. And there's a lot of oppression going around in lots of other countries where, especially with, Myanmar with the Rohingya Muslims, if you look at, there's a lot of oppression going on where you're not allowed to practice freely, or even as a Shia. So I'm not sure how healthy it is for us to separate ourselves from Western ideology and saying it's different to who we are as British Muslims. And I think it's about integrating the two together and how we can go forward without diluting our identity.
So you see, just hold the mic. You've touched on some very pertinent issue here. So do you want to say Western ideology is equivalent to Islamic ideology?
I think there are parts of Western ideology that go hand in hand with Islamic
Like
ideology.
any other ideology, it's not only Western ideology.
Yeah, and they go hand in hand, just like how the Prophet allowed different faiths to practice their religion freely at the time.
So where do you draw the line?
I think that's all about core values, and a lot of our core values are humanitarian values anyway, and they actually are something that's universal. Islam is universal. It's something that I think fits in with...
Salat is universal.
I think the concept of salah is universal. The way you apply it is...
The concept, but the way you do it as Muslims, is it universal?
I think the practice isn't universal.
Hijab is universal.
I think the value of modesty is universal.
Modesty, not hijab.
Yeah, but I think that's what I'm saying. So I think this whole debate...
So what I'm trying to get at is Islam and its teachings and West and its teachings, are they the same? Or no, there are areas we share things in common and there are areas we differ.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are areas we share things in common. But I like the fact that you pointed out to a very important point. That we are also Westerners. That's true. And we must integrate. But integrating doesn't mean that you have to do all that you are told to do.
Of course, yeah.
You have to uphold the rule of law, 100%, no doubt. But where you have your freedom, you have to exercise your freedom accordingly. But definitely integration is crucial. So this discussion is not to say we are not Westerners. In fact, this discussion is to tell you where do you draw the line and how do you draw the line so that you don't caught up into a mess. Because there are many who are caught up. They don't know where to do it, how to do. Instead, they may lose that Western identity, and in return, they lose their Islamic identity. And by so doing, they are neither Muslims nor proper Westerners. They are just in between. We don't want to get caught up with that. But, mashallah, very good point you pointed out. Now, let me hear from the gents and then we can move forward. For the sake of time. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I think Western ideology manifests itself in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different movements through liberal democracy, feminism, and all these type of movements. It's very important for Muslims to not accept these things at face value, to try to create a balance between these movements and then their full understanding of their own religion.
Yeah.
If we look at feminism, for example, I think it's very important for women to fight for equality and fight for women's rights, but they have to look at those examples within their religion, within the context of their religion, and look at powerful women within their background and all of that, instead of just grabbing what Westerners are pushing towards them, which might, at the end of the day, affect their deen and their way of life.
Absolutely. Last response from here. I saw someone. Yeah. Then we can move forward.
I think we should pick the good things, and and the biggest difference we can clearly see is the rights of parents in this society. That has a clear difference between Islam, the duties towards parents, the rights of the parents, the responsibilities towards them.
Okay, so now before we go to our groups, let him also say my part. Firstly, the reason for this topic is number one, to appreciate your deen and understand it properly. And number two, to appreciate who you are as British or wherever you're coming from. And number three, for you to be able to draw a line. Because drawing a line is very, very important. It's crucial. You don't want to get stuck with situation where you are unable to draw a line, whether it's this one or that one. You see, in Islam, and I want you kindly pay attention to this, there is a vast discussion or material when it comes to the question of identity and what represents our identities as human beings and as Muslims. If you look at Quran, it's just introduction, and then when we come back, we'll look at it into details. Quran talks of different identities. One place Quran will discuss about your national identity, your watan, where you coming from, your country. And Quran expects us to uphold our national identity. Other verse will look at your tribal identity, not national. So national here, you British, you Pakistani, Ghanaian, that's your national identity. Islam says you have to be proud of your national identity. And you know that beautiful tradition from the Holy Prophet, although scholars have different interpretations. Hubbul watanu min al-iman, or hubbul watani min al-iman. The love of one's nation is part of iman. So some scholars said nation here meaning soul. Your soul. This is mystical interpretation. But the general interpretation is that to love your country, where you live, where your livelihood is dependent on, is part of iman. But of course, loving also has its own boundary, isn't it? And it has its own manifestations. You may love a country, but you don't love everything about it. Or the country may be doing things that you don't like. That doesn't mean that you don't love that country. There may be so many excuses that will make you love the country. What is one of those excuses? The fact that you live there and you are living there. It is your country. You have to love it. Tribal identity. Some of us Urdu speaking. Some of us African speaking. Some of us Khojas. Your tribe. Islam talks about it. You have to love it. And then the third one, which Islam regards as the topmost, is your religious identity. Your faith identity. It's very important to have a faith. Faithless, that is their identity. Faithful, faith is our identity. So these three identities are important. So now, if you bring them into what we are discussing tonight, you love your nation. But sometimes your nation may have something which is contrary to the culture, your tribe, before even you come to religion. Islam says, so long as you are not binded, so long as you've got that freedom to choose, then there is no problem. Otherwise, if you choose something which is contrary to the constitution of your nation, Islam regards it haram. In other words, you cannot go against the rule of law unless if there is a leeway. And we have a lot of leeways. There are certain things you are not expected to implement, although it is in the constitution, isn't it? That you're free. Likewise, your tribe, our own tribe, Khoja, Pakistan. How many things are there which is contrary to Islam? So it's not only about the nation. So there also you look at what the culture says, what your tribe says, and then you come. So therefore, when we discuss ideology, Islamic general guiding principle is what? Is that whatever your religion approves, you take. Whatever goes contrary to the teachings of your religion, if you have the freedom to choose, you choose and stay away from it. So I'll give you an example. People will come to me and they said, Sheikh, why should I pay tax? Give an example. So you have to pay because you're benefiting from NHS. No, but I don't want to pay tax because they are using my tax money. I said, okay, then leave here, go another country and pay tax there. So Islam doesn't tell us to become enemies to our country. In fact, Islam wants us to become productive to our nation, productive to our country. So therefore, the ideologies, number one, is democracy. Western ideology calls for democracy. But in Islam, we also have democracy in Islam. But Islamic democracy is within a confinement of certain boundaries, isn't it? And Western democracy is also within the confinement of certain boundaries, which we'll discuss later. Second ideology is what? Rational thinking in the West. We hear this. You have to think rationally. But as I said, Islam is also rational, and rational is Islam. And most especially, the school of thought of Ahlul Bayt alayhi wasallam. Because we have a saying within our school of thought, that whatever common sense approves, Deen approves. And whatever Deen approves, common sense approves. So therefore, we believe strongly, and you can challenge me on this later if you want. Our religion goes hand in hand with common sense. If you feel our religion is not going on, no, wallah, challenge me later. Take me on. And I'm willing and I'm ready for that. And then the third one, individualism within the West. No, believe in yourself. Just you sort out yourself, then you can sort out others. Islam says no. Islam says, in fact, sacrifice all that you have for the sake of others. And you live yourself alone. So that is, so we have that. And then, of course, the main economical ideology in the West is capitalism. And Islam comes forward and said, no, it is reconciliation between capitalism and socialism. Islam says it's between the two. Individual, we've got the right, and society also, they have the right. So Islam draws the line between the two. And then, of course, the last one, which most of you mentioned, is freedom. You are free to shake woman's hand. You are free to shake men's hand. If you want to wear hijab, fine. You don't want to wear, no problem. You've got that freedom. But Islam doesn't tell you if you want to wear, if you don't want. But the Western said no. If you want to wear, nobody will stop you from wearing. And if you don't want to wear, nobody should come your way, isn't it? Islam says no, you must wear. So now the point I'm trying to make it is, where do we draw the line? You go to university, you enter the lecture hall, your lecturer come, shake your hand and hug you. What do? Are you going to say, he will feel offended? No, this light one. What do? I will explain what does Islam says. I'm just trying to make you ask a lot of questions. Chilling with your friends out there. And then you happen to be on a table where alcohol is served. And some of them say, look, we know you don't drink halal, but we're going to drink alcohol. What do you do? You go on a train, Virgin train, from here to London, and you realize that people were giving women with hijab certain look, man. You don't like the look. You're going to remove the hijab and hide it. When you get to London, you put it on. I know we are going through a lot of challenges out there with Islamophobia and the rise of far rights. Where do we draw the line? So this is the main aim of tonight's discussions. I want to hear from you. I want to know the challenges you are going through. And then I should be able to provide some guiding principles on what Islam says, depending on the situations that we find ourselves in. Because situations differ. Rules are not the same for every situation. Last but not least, how many of us today, we are shy to say we are Muslims when we get somewhere? How many? Say, no, they will give me a certain look. Let me just hide my Islamic identity. So Islam says, you have to be proud of your national identity, be proud of your tribal identity, and be proud of your religious identity. Now, inshallah, Ali, we're going to get into groups where we'll have those discussions, and then we'll come back, inshallah. And as I said, I expect you to ask a lot of questions and comment and engage with me a lot. Don't make it too dry. Engage me more on this topic. This is a very important topic. I want you to really engage me on this, and I will also engage you on this with my little bit of experience of going here and there, seeing what is happening, and the challenges that we go through, especially youngsters, and most especially ladies. Ladies are going through a lot of challenges today in trying to keep their Islamic identity. So yeah, now Ali, you can take us forward, inshallah.
So as Sheikh said, we're going to be splitting off into groups now to discuss the three questions. What do you define as Western ideology? How can it be seen in our communities? And what are the solutions? So in the ladies, we've got two facilitators. We've got Mehdi bin Rahim and Sharmin Rajani. So they'll be coordinating between themselves to split the ladies up into two groups. And in the gents, we've got Brother Azhar Jamil, who'll be taking the under 16s. And we've got Brother Muhammad Ali Maraj, who'll be taking the over 16s. So if we could all get into our groups, that'd be helpful.
How many minutes?
So we'll be splitting off for about half an hour or so. If you do need more time, we will give that to you. But please do take the time to discuss and be open to everyone's opinions and enjoy yourselves.
Yeah, better. Yeah, yeah. I didn't get so I will go. I think it's very important. Yeah, yeah, because somebody raised it.